Hey, what is up, guys? So, hey, I'm talking to y'all today about something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about long-term fasting. And I will be honest with you, this is something that I had never thought about doing. I've done intermittent fasting before, not eating till maybe 1 each afternoon, maybe noon, and having an 8-hour window or so to eat. But I've never actually in my life thought about doing a little bit more longer term fasting. And I'm gonna explain kind of something I did recently and how I did it, and also the benefits of it, and how it really did make a huge impact in just my overall health a little bit, but also in my performance in the gym and in my training. So before I get to that, don't forget, hit that like button. We really appreciate it. It helps our channel so much. We are grateful to every one of y'all who hits that like button. But let's get started talking about fasting. And I'm gonna be talking more about this idea of basically like a 3-day anti-inflammatory kind of reset fast. Now, I had never in my life thought about doing something like fasting for more than 1 whole day. Like I said, I've done intermittent fasting before, and I've actually seen some really positive results, especially if I've had a couple years ago, I had kind of a nagging little knee problem. I read about people doing intermittent fasting to help with inflammation. So I did it, and it really seemed to kind of put me over the edge. And so I've been dealing with some pain in my rear delt on my right shoulder that's just been lingering, won't really go away. And also, we're living in a time between COVID and the different COVID variants. Everything we can do to help build our health up in the most incredible way is only going to help make us healthier in general. It's going to increase the quality of our life. Who knows, maybe the longevity of your life in the end. And it's going to it's going to do dividends and pay dividends for your performance training in the gym, lifting and all these things. Because if we're pain-free, because we're getting rid of some of that inflammation, and this can also be internally in your organs, they get inflammation just as well. So I decided about probably 3 weeks ago, I was going to do this 3-day fast. I read a bunch of stuff, and I'm not a doctor. Y'all know that. I've been a fitness nutritional specialist. I've advised people, made meal plans and stuff like that, but I'm not a doctor. And so I did a lot of research. I probably researched for 2 or 3 weeks, looking for the correct time frame. Should it be 2 days, 3 days, 5 days? Looking at how to do it to really help with the inflammation. Because I was doing this in large part because of my shoulder and just because I wanted to see the health benefits. So basically, the best equation or best example that I can give of why sometimes it's important to do something like this. I listened to this one doctor speaking, and he was like a functional medicine doctor, and he really did give a great analogy. His analogy is a dumpster. And rats are attracted to dumpsters. So are raccoons and mice and everything else, because there's garbage in them. I guarantee you, if you get a brand new, bright, shiny dumpster that's never had any trash in it, you're not gonna have flies and raccoons and rats run into that thing because they don't care about the dumpster, they care about all the garbage in it. Our bodies, we need to make sure our bodies are that cleaned out thing, whether you equate it to a dumpster or whatever. We need to make sure our bodies and our gut and everything else is cleaned out, because that's going to be where our body functions the best. So I heard that and I'm like, man, that makes sense. And so I started doing a lot of research, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and do this. I did a 3-day fast. Basically, I started every morning. I had a cup of beef bone broth. Just pure beef bone broth. I had about a cup to a cup and a half, just depending on how hungry I woke up. About 30-45 minutes after that, I would have 1 cup of just black coffee. I know some of y'all are like, oh my gosh, I can't have my Starbucks. It's 3 days, number one. And guess what? You still get coffee. Now, I limited it to 1 cup because, a lot of things I read, people who do longer term fasting, sometimes they'll have issues with dehydration. They're not drinking as much as they should. Coffee is a diuretic. The caffeine is a diuretic. It will, you're going to have to pee more, and that's going to purge water out of your system. So I didn't want to have to worry about that, but I need a cup of coffee. Thankfully, for the past, I don't even know how long, I've only drank black coffee. I don't want anything else in it, so it wasn't a big shock for me. Then what I would do is about probably 11, 12 o'clock every day, I would have a superfood green supplement. It was just all natural. It was an organic one. I'll actually put the link down below where you can find it. I don't get any kick from it. It's just to help y'all out if y'all decide to do this. But I'll put the one I use down below. It worked fantastic. It's got a ton of different greens. It's got a bunch of different superfoods, berries, fruits, and all those things in it. I would take one of those and I would mix just unflavored collagen protein with it. So I'd get about 8 grams of unflavored collagen. I would actually have that, and I'd just sip on that for about an hour or so. I ended up getting a few grams of carbs. I got those 8 grams of protein from that. That kind of filled me up. Then again, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would do another one of those. Just got like an empty water bottle and mix it up. I put it in a shaker sometimes. It wasn't really a big deal. But I would mix that up, and then I'd sip on that for 30, 45 minutes, an hour. For dinner that night, I would end up having a cup of chicken bone broth. The reason I did different ones is the connective tissues that's breaking down in the different kinds of bone broth is different. So I wanted to get the different nutrient levels. Also, the beef is a little bit more dense. I would have that in the morning, and it kind of helped fill me up throughout the day better. And this is what I did for 3 days. Now, a couple things to kind of keep in mind if you decide to do this. Number one, for me at least, a lot of the things I read were people talking about day 1's going to be so hard because there's seafood. Day 1 was easy. Maybe because I still had food in my system and everything. Day 2 was horrible for me. I was starving all day long. And listen, I was the only one doing it in my house, so my wife, my kids, they weren't doing it, and I ended up making them dinner. That made it worse, making them food that night. But I just sat there with my cup of broth that night, drank it, and then I went to bed. Something else you can do, and I actually did this the 3rd night of it. I had a cup of green tea because at that point I was, my body was getting used to it by the end of the 3rd day. And I can tell you by the end of that, by the middle, the end of that 3rd day, I was already noticing that my shoulder wasn't feeling, I've been having, like I said, some inflammation and tightness in it. It takes me a long time. I got to really warm it up really, really good when I go start to train and start to work out. And I was noticing that just sitting around the house, I didn't have that same tightness. It wasn't like all tight all throughout the day. The 2 and 3 and 4 days after the fast, it was still continuing to feel better. I did train all 3 days. I worked out every single day. Now, I will tell you, by the time, day 1, it was pretty much a normal day. Day 2, I was a little sluggish getting started. It took me a while. I spent probably an extra 5-10 minutes warming up, getting everything going. But then once I got going, I did pretty well. And I put together a couple of Metcons. I think I did 2 Metcons, and I did some chest and back just lifting. Didn't go super heavy because I knew I wasn't going to be eating enough to replenish the calories and to rebuild that muscle as much because I was only having about 20 grams of protein for the day. So I kind of just did the work. Didn't really try to push through and go super heavy. Day 3 working out was pretty rough. I ended up basically spending about 30 minutes warming up. I ended up spending about 25-30 minutes on a spin bike just trying to get warmed up and everything, get going. Then I did just about a 12 or 15 minute Metcon, and that was it. Now, the time and everything I put up on the Metcon, it was solid. It wasn't anything to, get upset about, but it was hard to get going. I still felt a little bit lethargic getting going, and I was just kind of dragging. So y'all, be aware if you're going to work out, y'all, you can work out. And listen, if you could be someone who's like, I'm gonna try to do this to help jumpstart me trying to lean out. Y'all, that's actually what I've done with it. I actually, not to try to lean out, but I actually used it to jumpstart me straight into intermittent fasting. And ever since then, I've been intermittent fasting, not eating till about 12:30 every day, shutting my eating window down at 8:30 every day. Y'all, I've done some other intermittent fasting videos. Y'all, I'll post those links down below in case you want to get some ideas to help you succeed on intermittent fasting. And also just to break a little bit of things that are kind of falsified that people do and think about intermittent fasting. But y'all, I kind of used it to transition right into it, and it's really helped just to keep the inflammation in my shoulder down. I haven't had to worry about it coming back. And listen, I still have some times and I still every day warm up really, really well with it. But I haven't had a time since then where it's just like painful, which is what it was. I have a set of the cups. I would cup it at night, and I would have black circles, like purple and black circles on it because it had so much inflammation there. Now I'll cup it every 2 or 3 days, and they're a little colored, but nothing really big, nothing that you would get worried about because that inflammation's getting out of there. I've been able to start working heavier shoulder things, been able to start doing snatches again, doing pressing overhead, and I ended up taking about 2 or 3 weeks off from doing anything, on a pull-up bar, toes to bar, knees to elbows, pull-ups, anything like that. I've been able to start working those back in. So y'all, it has given me incredible benefits. So y'all, this is something to definitely consider. Now I want to give you one more thing. Whenever you transition back to food, whether you're transitioning to, like I did, to intermittent fasting, or you're just transferring back over to just regular eating. The first thing you want to do is eat something small for that first meal. I did it, and I just had about probably 12 to 15 almonds, and that did perfect. Then I ate, a little bit later on, I ended up having a couple eggs, I think I did 4 eggs, some turkey bacon, and some blueberries after that, and I was fine. I have heard of people who skip this, and their body kind of starts rejecting that first jolt of food, and it kind of messes up their stomach that first day. They're on the toilet pretty quick. We don't want that, because then basically you finally decided to, and you've been able to eat something, and you don't get any of the nutritional benefits from it. That's not going to be helpful for you recovering and moving out of the fast. So guys, I hope those kind of the guide to it kind of helps. It's definitely something to consider if you're having problems, like I said, with any kind of lingering injury, any inflammation. If you're just like, man, we got COVID, we're going into the cold and flu season, we got these different variants, I want to protect myself. This is something that you can do to really help bolster your immune system, to really help build your health back and get you healthier than you've ever been. It's also a good way, like I said, if you just are like, man, I'm gonna need to start leaning out for this, or, I'm noticing because I'm carrying a little bit more weight, maybe I've been really lifting heavy and trying to pack on a little bit of extra muscle, but now I need to start leaning out. This can be a great way. You're not, over the course of 3 days, going to lose that much muscle mass. You're not gonna lose that much strength. I feel like I didn't lose any strength, and in fact, because my shoulder feels healed now, I actually feel like it did the opposite. It helped me to be able to regain more strength because I'm not in pain. I can actually lift with my shoulders. I don't have to just, max out at, 30 or 35 pound dumbbells doing shoulder presses. I can continue to build up. I can continue to go heavy, and I can get back to lifting that way. Guys, I hope this helps. I hope these tips, this little kind of the guides and everything helps with this. Like I said, I will post a video the link to the video for intermittent fasting in case you want to use this to transition. And I will post a link to the collagen protein I used. It's just the regular vital proteins. And I'll post a link down below to the superfoods supplement that I used. I don't get anything from any of them, but they worked really well for me. They're really clean. I researched them well before I started using them, and they did really well. So guys, hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, post them down below. I'll definitely answer them for you. But guys, have a good one, and hopefully this helps you get better in the gym. Bye guys.